Hey, 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 you're tuned in to Robbie Shorter's The Thing About, a smooth podcast for the rough world we live in. Now available anywhere you can get your podcasts, to include Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Hey, 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 how are y'all doing today? Good, great, awesome. Welcome to another exciting episode of Robbie Shorter's The Thing About, where I, Robbie Shorter, bitch, moan, and groan about issues in society that are bothering me, and you sit back, relax, and have a listen. We're going to dive right into today's episode. We bring you a special presidential election episode for you today, and I have invited Mr. Rhian here from the College Republicans on behalf of them here at Illinois State University to just speak on and give his perspective as a conservative and as a Trump voter about why he and many others are going to be voting the way they will be voting in this upcoming election. If you haven't gotten registered to vote, what are you doing with your life? Please go do so. Early voting has already started. Go vote, or wait until election day if you must, but please go vote. So, with no further ado, we're going to jump right into this. Sir, go ahead and introduce yourself to the nice people.
Sure. My name is Rhian Fazzini. I am the Executive Director of Illinois State University Republicans. It's different. The Executive Director is different from the President. Basically, we have the same jobs, except I'm basically just a glorified errand boy. We meet every Thursday at State Farm 131, right? Is it 131?
You tell me. I think it's 132. But
132. Well, we meet in the State Farm and basically in the 130 area of the State Farm building every Thursday at 7. So if you're interested, Republican leaning, we're always happy to have new members. Robbie comes frequently. He comes he offers his commentary and listens and offers pretty good input when we discuss topics.
yeah, I do my best. I will admit, folks, I don't consider myself to be a conservative and definitely not a Trump voter, but as somebody who is a political science major and as somebody who just likes to talk to people and expand my mind and just be open to other possibilities and why people believe in what they believe in, I thought it would be helpful to be willing to, take my partisan glasses off and sit down and just listen. And I think that's something we are severely lacking nowadays because of how hyper-partisan we have become. But why have we become so hyper-partisan? Well, that is something me and Rhian are going to get into today. So with no further ado, here we go. I've got a series of questions just off the top of my head, Rhian, that I'd like to ask you. We're going to span the spectrum between Donald Trump, the Republican Party, and then just conservatism as a whole. But let me just ask you, let's just get your feet in the water first. Mm-hmm. Why exactly are you a Republican? Why do you identify as a conservative Republican? Go.
Well, that's a good question. I wouldn't say necessarily the term Republican is more just a political affiliation, not necessarily an ideology. I personally identify as a libertarian type. The Republican Party itself is just a vessel to get your point, to get your goals accomplished. But most of the Republican Party is at least my wing of it is smaller government, fewer regulations, less foreign involvement, lower taxes, lower spending, address the debt, stuff like that.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I mean, you're just asking me why I'm a Republican specifically.
Well, let me. I guess. At what point in your life did you realize this is what you identify as?
That's actually. Oh yeah, that's actually. I remember that vividly. So when I first got into politics, it was me and my family were watching Celebrity Apprentice, and I was like randomly, just one day out of the blue, I said, what would be funny if Trump ran for president? And literally in the next week, Trump announces a campaign for president, in the car. I remember the street we were on. I remember it was we were passing by an Aldi, and then I was like, he might get the nomination, and then like everyone laughed at me. I should also premise everyone laughed at me when I said he should run. He could run, and then they laughed at me when I said he would win he could win the nomination, and then I said he might actually win, and then he did end up winning in a massive upset. And like people like, and that's pretty much like when I got into it. Like I was like, okay, I got a knack for this. And for the past 10 years, I have been I looked at elections, study government, study history, and a lot of it is like I'm working with political candidates. I ran my own campaign for city council in Elmhurst. I only got 3%, but it was like I was in college, so I wasn't really campaigning that much. But I did end up winning my second election, where I was elected to York Township Precinct Committeeman position. Now I'm working for a canvassing organization for congressional and state candidates, and I'm going to be working with a radio station on election night for election analysis, which is like that's my thing. That's like I always wanted to do, is like be on like the debate roundtable and offer my analysis.
Okay, good stuff. All right, let's start getting into the nitty gritty here. So let's just start with the most obvious question. This election is going to come down to, on the Republican side, we have Donald J. Trump, who is aiming for a second term in the White House. And then on the other side, we have Kamala D. Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz, and then Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio. So I guess we're going to ease into this. Mm-hmm. Why are you voting for Donald J. Trump over Kamala? Well, okay, that's an unfair question. Why are you voting for Trump just in general?
Okay, so Trump was not my first choice this weekend. He wasn't even my second, third, or fourth choice. Of my top five, like, or top four candidates in the primary, like, because I was a delegate for DeSantis, or I was an alternative delegate. I collected over almost 200 signatures for him for our delegate position on the ballot, and I would have been happy with Ramaswamy. I would have been happy with Perry Johnson or Larry Elder or literally anyone, because Trump basically made a complete ass of himself during and after the midterms, because one of his main issues, one of his main motivating things was his endorsement record, regardless of the ideology of the candidate. Because one of his big issues was that he'd have like a few select Congress people sabotaging him here and there, and then he couldn't get anything done. And then he was endorsing these exact people who were endorsed by those people, and he did this repeatedly. And for example, Blake Masters and I'm trying to. Some of their names escape me, but then he would boast about this record, like, oh, I'm 179-10 with my endorsements, and then at the midterms, like, two of them won the actual election. So, and first of all, like, he would endorse like some random mayor in Alabama, which of course that's going to end up being a Republican. But none of the endorsements that he actually made won that actually mattered. And then his behavior during the primary, where he felt entitled to the nomination, he barely campaigned, didn't do any debates. He employed a lot of people who slandered DeSantis and his family, and I just found that completely unacceptable. So I ended up switching over to the Kennedy campaign, because I felt at least would get some kind of I'm trying to find the word, justice, I guess, or accountability for the health organizations and intelligence organizations, because Trump did not take any blame for what happened during COVID with the lockdowns and vaccine mandates or the riots that he could have stopped. And I also would preface that he claims that the election was stolen, but he was the president. He could have stopped any election fraud that he deemed that existed, and now allegedly that the fraud is not going to happen this time around, even though he's not president. So I'm not sure what his main goal is. The main thing that won me over in the end was that because Kennedy started. Well, for one, I like J.D. Vance. That was the one thing. That was the thing that was kind of getting me to question my loyalty a bit. But then Kennedy himself also ended up suspending his campaign and endorsed the president, the former president. So that was and his running mate Nicole Shanahan also endorsed the former president. So that was the main thing. At least I'm gonna get some concessions out of Trump. Kennedy and Nicole Shanahan will probably be involved with making America. I'm not sure if you've heard of MAGA movement, Make America Healthy Again. But that's one of my big things. Basically, my vote is not necessarily for Donald Trump. My vote is mainly for J.D. Vance and getting Kennedy in the cabinet.
Okay, I can understand the logic in that. So, I guess another question I want to ask you, and you don't strike me as being a part of MAGA. Are you, or do you? What are your thoughts on MAGA?
I would describe myself as a radical. I would not describe myself as a MAGA, because my problem with MAGA stems from the fact that it's literally just about Trump, and because what's going to happen when Trump is gone? Who's going to take the MAGA mantle? Is it going to be J.D. Vance? Is it going to be Trump Jr.? Is it going to be Vivek Ramaswamy? Is it going to be someone else like Glenn Youngkin? The Republican Party is going to have an identity crisis, because right now the MAGA brand is Trump. The Democrats are going to have the same problem in 2028 as well, because they have a big lineup of young stars, but they don't have a defined ideology down.
I would agree with that.
They're gonna have a problem. They're gonna have problems with AOC. They're gonna have the problems with Josh Shapiro because he's Jewish. They're gonna have problems with. They're gonna have more problems with Hispanics and Arab voters. And they're both gonna have. It's gonna be 2020. It's just gonna be a shit show.
Can you elaborate just a bit more? You said they're gonna have the Dems are gonna have an issue with the Jewish community and the Latino community. Why and how is that? Because we have to keep in mind the Democrats have a pretty solid lead when it comes to minorities in this country.
They do, but Trump has been tearing into that viciously. A poll just came out from Fox News. Because I don't really trust Fox News polls. They're not very good.
I don't either.
But Trump had an 11-point lead on Harris with Hispanic voters. I don't think he's ahead by that much. He may be ahead by 1 or 2 points, or at least he's within the margin of error against her, because she's doing really bad with Hispanics. Arabs, she's in the tanks with Arabs right now. Trump just is about to have another grandchild who's also half Arab, with the Palestine-Israel situation, Kamala is taking the side that she has to take. It was a lose-lose situation. You either pick Israel and piss off the progressives and Arabs, or you pick Arabs and then you piss off moderates and Jews. Mm-hmm. So there was no winning situation with that. Trump, on the other hand, it was a lot more peaceful during that time. He had the Abraham Accords going on. Several Arab countries started recognizing Israel. Fewer Palestinians died under Trump than under Harris. So, and even now, Trump is actually winning Arabs right now. He won Arabs with 35. He got 35% of the Arab vote in 2020. Now he's more than cracking 55%.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's going to be really critical in states like Michigan and Minnesota. More Michigan more than Minnesota, because Minnesota is more home to Somali communities as opposed to Arab communities.
Mm-hmm.
But that Dearborn vote is critical. Trump just got the endorsement of the only Muslim majority city. I forgot the name of the city, but he just got a Democrat mayor who just endorsed him.
Okay, very interesting. My next question for you, staying on the topic of DJT, is one of the things that a lot of people, especially the more moderates and independents, don't care for, frankly, is Trump's personality. Now, I know when it comes to the MAGA movement, as you mentioned earlier, it really is a Trump-oriented, Trump-focused group. I would go as far as to say a cult, but that's just my personal opinion. But there is this, people just don't care for Trump's very bullish, antagonistic kind of personality. And I know maybe at first, maybe back in 2015, 2016, it was kind of new and exciting to have a politician like that. Somebody who's afraid to, well, he speaks his mind. He tells it like it is. He speaks like a real businessman. And I guess I could understand the allure of that back in 2015 and 2016 when Trump was new to the political realm. I know he had launched a presidential campaign many, many years before, I think in 2000, but that fizzled out. But
there was just problems with the Reform Party with that.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he couldn't win. He was just like, there was like, you got David Duke running, and you got I forgot some communist was running for it. Pat Buchanan was a bit of a radical for his time.
David Duke. Oh,
yeah,
boy.
he did. Yeah, he just didn't like the party. He probably could have won. He probably would have won the nomination, but it probably wouldn't have amounted to anything.
Right. But
yeah, sorry.
No, you're all good. But going fast forward to 2015 and 2016, the allure of Trump, I feel, has kind of worn off with a lot of the moderates and independents because they're looking at a guy who is going out there saying, and you saw the debate, Rhian, I know you did. They're eating the pets. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats, the TikToks that have come out since then.
Good song. It was actually meant to be anti-Trump, but then Trump people loved it, and then the guy who made it was really mad.
Yeah, I'd imagine he was. But just his general behavior is not very, as some would say, presidential. So, considering that you're going to vote for him, have you already voted? Okay, you're an early voter.
Yeah.
So, considering you did cast your ballot for Donald Trump, how do you reconcile the fact that you have a man, and then I'm also going to be honest with you, Rhian, as a liberal, as a Democrat, I'm scared shitless of this man getting another 4 years in office. Now, I know the argument is going to be, hey, come on, this ain't going to be the doomsday scenario the libs are making it out to be. He's going to make America great again. He's going to do what he's got to do to get the nation on track and run the government like a business. My only problem with that is he had his chance 4 years ago to run the government like a business, and he failed miserably, in my opinion. And he ran it like one of his businesses, which, as we know, he doesn't exactly have the best track record. So I guess the question I'm trying to ask you, as someone who cast your ballot for this gentleman, is what exactly would you have to say to people who are, for whatever reason, still on the fence about voting for Trump?
Okay, well, I would probably say that we've already had him as president for 4 years, and apart from COVID, everything was fine. If Trump really was Hitler, like the media is trying to now rebrand him again, he would have done it already, or tried at the very least, and he never did. As what I would say is, can you repeat the question again? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I was going to say, what would you say to people who are on the fence?
On the fence, okay.
Yeah.
I would just say, like, are you better off now than you were 5 years ago? I say 5 because that was before COVID. Because COVID, a lot of the damage was self-inflicted. But seeing as how we're most likely not gonna do that again, because we know that the masks didn't work and all that, and but the answer for most people is no. And, like, do you want another 4 years of this? And the answer for most people is no. Our allies actually paid paid their fair share when he was president for NATO and our military alliances. The world was inherently so much more peaceful than it is today. There was no war in Ukraine. There was no Gaza situation. We weren't on the brink of war with Iran. North Korea wasn't sending troops over to Ukraine either. Venezuela was not selling oil, and now we're almost completely depleted our oil reserves, because I know people have noticed that gas prices are dropping. I actually paid $2.95 for gas yesterday, but the reason for that is because we're depleting our oil reserves, and that's not meant for political times. It's meant for wartime or emergencies, and now that's almost gone. No one wants to invest in nuclear energy. The current administration has not been doing anything about it. They've only been doing solar and wind, and even though that takes up more energy than it does output. Taxes are going up, costs are going up. The regulations have gone away, but the prices still haven't gone down, and a lot of it is due to the they're trying to make up past payments. Pretty much, they canceled out Trump's cap on prescription drugs, and then re-put the cap on to basically take credit for it.
Okay.
And I was also like, in the end, like, Trump is not that conservative. He is very moderate compared to his base. He's a New York liberal. He's pro-choice, pro-IVF. He's not the monster that people make him out to be, which is kind of one of the reasons why I don't care for him, because he's not this boogeyman, if you will. He doesn't need it. He didn't build the wall, so that's like another thing. That's why I didn't like him.
Uh-huh.
But I think most people now are in favor of a wall because of the insane rate of illegal immigration. We're talking millions, and when only under the Trump administration it was like a couple, maybe 200,000 a year at most. I think it was even lower than that.
That's pretty generous.
What was?
That he was able to, or the illegal immigration rate was that low?
Per year.
Per year. Okay.
Per year, but like at this rate, it's like 3 million a year under the current administration.
Okay, so I guess my next question is going to be regarding just the Republican Party as a whole, and I like the way how you phrase that, saying it's just what did you say?
More of like a vessel as opposed to an actual ideology.
Okay, I would agree with that, but I guess what I've noticed, especially ever since Trump came in like a wrecking ball in 2015, is that there doesn't seem to be a whole hell of a lot of distinction, or at least this is what Trump wants, between Trump and the Republican Party. And I know every generation, I think you mentioned this in our previous episode, in our lost recording episode, how, every couple of decades or so, there's always a new golden boy, there's always a new star or hero or villain of the certain political parties. You had Reagan dominating the 80s, of course. You had JFK of the 60s, even though his time as president was horribly short-lived. But if we want to go further than that, we had FDR. So every generation we seem to get like this new icon representing the party. But the question I have for you is this something you really want? Like having Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, given his personality, given the multiple things that he has gotten himself involved in as far as the legal troubles, the scandals, the controversies. I know no politician obviously is perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but this, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's like something, for me, Rhian, this is like something out of a Saturday Night Live skit. You have a former prosecutor going up against a man convicted on 34 felony counts of who, now we can have a whole separate debate about, weaponization of the law enforcement and the legal system. But, the fact remains, the fact that this race is so tight, given all of that baggage, kind of shows that there is this really devout loyalty to Trump that I think the Republican Party is giving to him. And I don't really understand why, considering Trump is not the only, as you said before, he wasn't even in your top 5 choices to be president. You're more excited about J.D. Vance being vice president than Trump becoming president again. Yeah. So can you speak on that? Like, why is this a thing?
Well, a lot of it is because of just media and government lies. Had Trump not run for president and had he not won, I don't believe that we'd know a lot of the things that are going on in our government. I certainly don't believe we'd know about the insider trading going on. As for, because when you look at it, like one thing I give him credit for is basically he tore down the curtain and showed what was really behind the wizard. The way I would say that because like the media was not as hostile as it was before Trump became president. They weren't that hostile to Obama, but they did give him some freebies. They went hard on Paul Ryan, on Mitt Romney and John McCain. Don't even get me started how they treated the Sarah Palin, but they were semi-normal for the most part. And then once Trump became president and then said fake news, oh my God, they have literally lost their minds. They right now they're coming out with this
Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, Trump derangement syndrome. But it's disturbing how obsessed they are about him. Like they just came out with this story that or Trump said about something derogatory about a Mexican American soldier, where it doesn't take $60,000 to bury a Mexican. He never said that. Her sister even said that he never said that. And then they're running with it as accurate. And then had Elon Musk not bought Twitter, we wouldn't know about this. They probably would have shadow banned They would have banned the sister for pointing it out.
You don't even get. We're gonna circle back to that, but continue. What was I just talking about? The media and Trump derangement syndrome.
Oh yeah, I lost my train of thought. Damn.
We'll get it back, boyo. Oh, okay. Let me refocus your thoughts. Okay, so we're talking about how, in general, you're speaking about how Trump's presidency lowered the curtain. Yeah.
Because the media have been caught in so many lies, mistruths, and blatant spins, it has completely destroyed their credibility. And the blatant part, like you'll watch CNN and MSNBC and all of them, who are supposed to be reporting the news, but when they're blatantly taking a side on an issue, that makes them lose their credibility. And Trump knows how to get under people's skin, and that's actually one of the big things why he's so appealing, is because he does this to his political opponents, he does this to journalists, and because like I said, they were normal before Trump announced for the presidency, but he got under their skin, and then he showed people who these people really are. This is what your government the government thinks of you. This is what journalists think of you. They don't respect your intelligence.
Okay, well that's and you know what? To an extent, I agree with that, because I do believe that news outlets definitely have their agendas, and they are willing to put a certain spin on things. I personally I don't watch mainstream media. I like to seek out alternative news and whatnot and try to make sure I stay in that middle area where I'm not getting anything that's too heavily leaning to the left, but at the same time, not too heavily leaning to the right. But I have to say this, though, Rhian. A lot of what we are seeing, I know people talk about Trump derangement syndrome. And you know what? I will say this. I think Donald Trump and his presidency was probably the best thing to ever happen to the media, because regardless if you were a left-leaning liberal that hated Trump or a right-leaning, red-blooded conservative Christian patriot that thought Donald Trump was ordained by the Heavenly Father himself to be the next president, he was good for business. Trump was very good for the media, because love him or hate him, everybody was talking about Donald J. Trump because he was always saying something crazy. He was always doing something crazy. And I do believe that Trump genuinely does love the attention. There's no such thing as bad publicity, I think, in his mind. As long as he is in the conversation, that's what he wants. Because we got to remember, he is a celebrity. He had a whole game show back in the day, a reality TV show. So being in the spotlight is definitely not something Trump is going to say no to.
I was going to say, I think that's kind of a double entendre, because he's so good for business, that again continues to shoot their credibility.
But my only,
because now journalism's a business, not an actual it's not a truth organization anymore. It's just about getting the story, getting the most clicks, getting the most attention, eyeballs on the story, regardless if it's true or not.
But my only thing is, though, is that couldn't you argue the same for outlets like Fox News and One America News and and Breitbart and all these other very right-leaning news organizations they're going to do what they can to make Trump, and by extension Republicans and conservatives in general, look really good, and conversely to make liberals and Democrats and sleepy Joe Biden look really fucking bad. I mean, I've seen many reports.
If you want an opinion of like what I would say the most neutral, they still lean a bit towards Democrats, but I'd probably say that the most neutral media organization is probably The Hill.
I was going to say NPR, actually.
I don't know, absolutely not. I don't trust anything, because that's actually one of the other reasons I hope Trump wins, is if NPR and PBS get defunded, because I don't trust any government-funded media. I don't trust anything government. Most things government funded, because they're usually bad at their job.
I actually won't argue with you on that, but we'll revisit that in a bit. Let's move on to our next topic, and that is, I guess. Well, let me ask you this: are you religious?
I am currently, I would say, in an exploration stage. My family raised me. We were Lutheran originally. I hated getting up early for church. I hated going. It was boring. You had to sit up and stand. You sit up and stand, and then so like I became like a devout atheist for like several years, and then about 7 years ago, I started becoming like agnostic. Like clearly there's a reason we're alive today. I don't think it's some magic man in the sky who made us who just decided to pop us down. But there's something more as to why we exist. After October 7th is because I was like when I realized that, wow, people really hate Jews for literally no reason. And I looked at some of the core beliefs, some of them, and like a lot of it is like comparing it to Christianity. I kind of believe a lot of this. Like it makes a lot like, and also Judaism is like one of the oldest main organized religion in the world. They have been subject to so many genocides and ethnic cleansings, but they still continue to survive. And if that's the case, clearly they're doing something right. So that's like that's why I was exploring Judaism. I'm also another member of College Republicans. Shout out to Maritza. Invited me to her church, and it was like, it was an interesting experience. Like I might go back. So I would say I subscribe to Judeo-Christian beliefs. I'm not defined on anything yet. Like I'm just kind of exploring my a religious what was it called view, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to make sure because you're saying that you don't believe that there's somebody up there in the sky.
I believe that Jesus was a real person and all that. I don't believe he literally got back up from the dead after being crucified. I do believe in the sense that when people say he is with us, he is alive. He came back. I believe that the way I view it is that his ideology, Jesus' ideology, exists within all of us, and it's successfully because it's spread to the most of the world. Mm-hmm. That's how I view it right now. I don't know. I'm not saying that this is going to be my forever position.
Right, of course, you're open-minded when it comes to your spirituality.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Now, the only reason, this ties into what I'm going to ask you next, and I know you don't necessarily identify as so you're spiritual, or you're a exploring spiritual man. Sure. But I guess the question I'm trying to ask now is, Donald Trump has a considerable following and a considerable lead when it comes to the evangelical Christian movement here in this country. Like, they are all in. Well, they've always been devout, conservative, Republican voters. But Donald Trump comes along, and I'm sure you remember seeing him shortly after the unrest outside of that church. I think Bill Barr authorized the DOJ to clear out those protesters, and we see Trump standing outside the church holding up a Bible and whatnot. And Trump is now selling Trump edition Bibles.
I don't like that. I don't like. I think the selling of the golden shoes is dumb. I think the Trump watches are dumb. But
so I guess my question is, for people who are religious and spiritual or whatnot, and especially for evangelical Christians, I know you don't necessarily identify as one, but maybe you can give me some idea, because I'm not religious. I am very much an agnostic atheist.
That's what I was for a long time.
Yeah. But how do you think, how do you reconcile the fact that there are individuals who believe in the teachings of Jesus and whatnot, and who believe that, God is their creator and that he created us in his perfect image? How do you reconcile that with somebody who is, frankly, as far as the Bible is concerned, committed as many or broken as many commandments as Donald Trump? Because we know the man lies about things that are quite verifiably false. He said things that such as, there were millions and millions of illegal immigrants voting illegally in the 2020 election, and I actually won that, and there was mass voter fraud. Every investigation has since proven that no such voter fraud existed. He still, to this day, will not concede defeat in the 2020 election. He's said things such as, I'm only going to be a dictator for a day. And sure, that may have been jocular to some people, but to a lot of other people, given his behavior and his personality, they're like, hey, I don't know, this is the kind of guy we want to have access to the nuclear codes. So, and then then that doesn't even begin to address the infidelity and whatnot, his sexual promiscuities and whatnot. And then recently, just this weird comment about Arnold Palmer's genitals. Are you aware of that?
I heard about that. I have no idea what he said. Because I don't really listen to a lot of his rallies anymore, because it's just so long.
You should, though. They're quite fascinating.
They are. I know. I remember one where he was talking about sharks, though. That was funny. I don't know how he got. Like he said, he doesn't like sharks for whatever reason.
I know he likes to do what he calls the weave, where he'll just talk about 12 different things, but eventually circle back to the initial question.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I'm like that. That was actually one of my problems with the convention. Was like 30 minutes in. Okay, come on, Donald, wrap it up.
But yeah, I guess my question to you is, how do people who identify as being religious or spiritual, who are conservatives and who do intend to vote for Donald Trump, how do they reconcile that with their religious faith, voting for such a controversial man?
I would say, well, first I would just correct you with the evangelical thing. That his support with evangelicals is not as high as you think it is, mainly because exactly what you said earlier was that they have so many problems with like the infidelity. He's Trump's pro-choice, but stuff like that.
But it's still a sizable majority.
It is sizable, but it's not as big as people think it is. As for reconciling with Trump, I would just say that over the past decade, we've seen extreme hostility towards people who identify as Christian people who identify as Christian. And it's like it's okay to make fun of Christians. It's okay to insult Jesus. It's okay to do this and that, insulting Christ. But it's not okay to insult the Prophet Muhammad, and you get basically canceled for that. I'm okay. I'm of the opinion that you can make fun of any religion. I don't really care. But at least stick to your morals. Don't be selective. But recently, Kamala, like this at a rally, when Kamala was talking about abortion, someone in the crowd said Jesus is Lord, and she said, "Ooh, you're at the wrong rally. That is not a way to win Christian votes." Yeah. So she said you want to go down to the rally, the smaller rally down there. So yeah, if you're Christian and you care about your religion, I would probably say go to a Trump rally, because apparently you're at the right rally, I guess. And even with Catholics, like she did not go to the Al Smith Catholic dinner, which is meant to raise money for Catholic organizations that do humanitarian work, hospitals, stuff like that. She didn't bother to show up. Kamala instead recorded a video and it was so like I actually had to call 988 because how bad it was.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it was that bad. I don't know. Did you see it?
I have not.
It's bad. But she took like this like one SNL like you know how Kamala's brat and all that, right? You know. Yeah, no one who has ever used the word brat knows who this SNL character was. Like my parents knew. My parents knew who that was, and it was this Catholic schoolgirl who like smells her armpits or stuff like that, and it was really awkward, and like it was like really, and like even the people in the audience who were like, because like it's a Catholic dinner filled with the most powerful people, they're mostly Democrats, and even they didn't find it very funny. So, like she doesn't respect Christianity. She doesn't respect Catholics. At least the very least with Trump is that you'll have your protections. Even with the Masterpiece Cake Shop thing, like they have not let that man, like with the gay wedding cake and all. They have not let that man alone since he refused to make that one cake. Clearly, I don't know if he's the only baker in the state of Colorado. But people have to understand, like, I would probably just point out with this case. He did not deny the service. He denied making doing a service with this message. For example, like say you wanted a Jewish baker, you have a Jewish baker. The Klan comes in and they say they want a cake to celebrate David Duke's birthday, and they want a swastika on the cake. Does the Jewish baker have to make that? It's kind of hateful. Or is like, or a Muslim baker? Does a Muslim baker have to make a Christian cake? But the thing is, like, he's won every single case that he's done, but they keep pushing it. Like he refuses to do a weed cake, gotta sue him. Refuses to do a trans cake, gotta sue him. And they have not left this man alone. And it's going to just continue if Kamala is elected. It's going to just continued hostility towards people who identify as Christian.
Okay. So I guess the situation with that is, so you mentioned how he wasn't denying the service; he was just denying the message that was being.
Yes. Because he also doesn't do Halloween cakes, and he doesn't do like Satanist cakes.
Well, what the fuck does he do?
He's a Christian baker. He does wedding cakes, and he does cakes. Like he does like birthday cakes, stuff like that. But imagine this. Let's say okay. Oh yeah, sorry. You're gay, and you walk into the shop. I say I want a cake, and they say, "Oh, we don't serve your kind." That's different. In this situation, the guy walks in as like, "Oh, I want you to make a cake this way," and he said, "I don't want to make it that way." That's the suing part. That's where the lawsuit comes in.
Okay, that I'd never had that perspective before, because I did just flat out think it was pretty discriminatory. Like, okay, you're not gonna make. I understand that you may have your religious values, but to just flat out deny somebody because they can't.
Yeah, that's discrimination. To deny them based on their sexuality, but to deny a specific service based on sexuality versus denying a service within the service, I guess would probably be a good example.
So he wasn't in agreement with the message that was being purported.
It would be technically forced labor to make it because he doesn't agree with the message, and he would basically be forced to. It is violation of his First Amendment is to make something that he disagrees with. Now, it would be different from making something with a person who he disagrees exists.
Okay, so because when you put it that way, that argument actually does make a lot of sense. Because if I'm a cake shop owner and somebody from the Ku Klux Klan is like, "Hey, boy, go ahead and whip us up this cake, celebrating, the 111th anniversary of the Ku Klux Klan," obviously fuck no, get out of here. Yeah. I don't agree with that. Leave. Why would you even come here in the first place? I'm never, as a black dude, I'm never going to support that. So from that perspective, that does make sense. I just wish it had been gone about. I feel like it could have been about better.
Because like you even said that you didn't think that it was like that, but that's what kind of the media did. They basically spun it as this, he's discriminating against gay people, when that wasn't the case.
So it wasn't discrimination against gays. It was just the message. He cannot, as a man of faith, because of his religious values, he cannot spread a message that goes contradictory to his faith.
Yes.
Okay. Well, from that aspect, I do understand. I'm sure there are plenty of other cake shops in Colorado, or where did this happen?
Oh, I forgot the name of the city. It's called the name of the bakery is Masterpiece Cake Shop. That's all I know. I don't remember the name of the city.
Okay, well, no worries. I'll look it up later.
But they've sued him multiple times for all different. Because once the gay thing didn't work out, they've just been harassing him with lawsuits. Because you can't smoke weed under Christian. Christians don't smoke weed. They don't partake in orgies.
Not the ones I know.
They don't do all this depraved sex stuff and all that. And that was basically what they were targeting him with. I'm not making all this crap.
Okay.
Because even Satanism was another thing where it was you're discriminating against you're not making a Satanist cake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why would you go to a Christian bake shop to make a cake worshiping the devil?
Did they know the customers, the gay couple? Did they even know that this was a Christian gay shop? Because I feel like he could have done a better job of making hey, this is a religious oriented kind of.
I think that's exactly what happened. But they were just kind of looking for a payout.
But did they?
They never got their cake.
Right. But did they, when they first went there, was there any indication?
I have no idea
that this was.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea with that.
Because I would say that would probably alleviate. I mean, that probably could, and I'm not necessarily blaming him for this, but it's come on, if you know that you have all of these stern, devout religious restrictions on what you can and can't do as far as being a businessman, then I think you should kind of, maybe not even have to say it, but just have stuff posted around so people can get contextual clues okay, if I'm gay or if I'm trans, then maybe this isn't the place where I want to do business because my message or what I believe in goes against what the business owner's faith purports. So I just feel like this whole thing could have been avoided if he was like, hey, this is a Christian bakery. I don't do
I think that's exactly. I'm
homosexuality.
pretty sure that's exactly what he did, and then that was kind of like, and everything hit the fan there.
Because I will say, if he did that, if he made it pretty fucking clear that, hey, this is a devout Christian bakery, then I do feel like, yeah, you guys, the gay couple would be the ones at fault, because it's like, okay, buyer beware. You know what you're getting yourself into.
Because I don't think anyone should have to disclose their religion.
But I think if you're offering a public service where you're going to interact with people from all sorts of backgrounds, I think you should preface your religion. I actually disagree. I think if you're going, I mean, because it's not like it's strictly for Christians.
Well, yeah, but it's a private company though. They can deny what services they do and don't do. They cannot deny who they do services with.
But didn't he?
No, he denied doing a specific. He denied doing a.
Okay, so he agreed to make the cake as long as it leaves off the gay stuff.
I would say this. Like, okay, so say you're an artist, you receive a commission. I want you to make a draw a picture of Bill Gates having sex with Epstein. Obviously, you probably wouldn't be. Most people wouldn't be a fan of drawing something like that. So I'm gonna say no. I'm not doing that. But so I'll just say, oh, you're discriminating. You're not doing this because I'm white. Like,
okay, that's that would definitely be an argument.
But that was the argument. Like, I don't do that. I don't do this. Like, I don't do this specific. Like, you don't do this specific drawing. Like that's like. You can choose not to do that. Just I'm not accepting your money.
Right, because you're allowed to have creative sovereignty over what it is
and that was the issue. The cakes were a form of art because the way they decorate their cakes is a form of art.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we could probably talk about this for a whole
hour. We kind of got sidetracked.
No. I think that's definitely something worth talking about. Now let's move over. We're hitting almost the hour mark, but it's all good. Let's talk about election integrity and so-called election interference, because this is something that Trump has been, I got to be honest, Rhian, it kind of seems like Trump, not even kind of seems, he is, in my opinion, laying the groundwork to deny the outcome of the 2024 election. He's out there saying, hey, because he said something profoundly fucking stupid that even I, as a liberal, like, hey, man, if you're serious about being president, maybe you shouldn't go out there and say, hey, we already have all the votes we need. You can stay home. I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
I know. As a candidate, you do not tell your supporters to stay home. You got to get every single person out there. If I had Trump's ear right now, I'd tell. Well, I mean, someone's got his ear, but assassination joke. Okay. But anyway,
I am thankful that he survived. Though,
yes,
obviously,
that was scary.
We'll hit on that in a moment, actually. But go on.
But if I had Trump's ear, I would tell him you're going to need 100 million votes to win outright. It's like, but no issue. That's what you need, and that number of voters exists for him. The question is turning them out. He got 75 million votes. He just needs a quarter extra of that. I call it the 100 million MAGA. Well, now he hasn't done that, but they have been heavily investing in early and mail-in votes, which Republicans are doing in record numbers, especially in Pennsylvania and I think North Carolina.
But what about this bullshit crusade he used to have about mail-in voting? Said it's rife with fraud, can't be trusted. He's got the postmaster general.
That's one of the things. Like, why I didn't want him to be the nominee was because they're just going to do this again. You were the president. You could have stopped this. You had a year and you had 4 years to figure this out, and you couldn't do that. So he's kind of just. I'm of the opinion that he's like, you live with the consequences for that one. I personally don't believe that the election was transparent, but it was his fault. He lost. as for laying the groundwork for denying the 2024 results, I don't disagree with that. But Kamala is doing the same thing. I'm not sure if she'll certify her own election loss if she loses.
Really?
Yeah, because
elaborate.
If Trump is truly this Hitler dictator, he's clearly a threat to democracy, and then you would be certifying the election for a dictator. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about this? Because look, this is going to be a shit show. Like,
I agree.
I'm excited about this election, but I'm also very nervous because I
would actually give a shout out to my family. Just get out of Chicago for that weekend. Go to Indiana.
Yeah, I'm actually very comfortable where I am here in Normal, Illinois, because the thing is, I feel like this might be a damned if we do, damned if we don't situation when it comes to Trump. Because, and this is just my opinion as a liberal, I feel that if Trump wins the election and is able to get back into office, number one, he's still going to bitch and moan and groan that he didn't win by as big of a mark. Because even when he won in 2016, he was still complaining.
About the size of his inauguration crowd,
And he was complaining that, I actually won, because he did very much win the electoral vote, which is the only one that really counts. But the popular vote, I think Hillary actually bested him by 1 million.
No, she bested him by about 3 million.
Oh, 3 million. Okay. Yeah. But he was pissed off about that, even though he still clearly won the election and got to be president. He was moaning and groaning about that. And then, of course, 2020, he's just flat out, no, he does not want to concede. He is not denying. As far as he's concerned, he won. It was all rigged against him. And now 2024, I don't know how much more of this bullshit the country can take as far as just getting pissed off when elections don't go your way and protesting that, it's the immigrants, they're doing it.
Ever since 2000 is when I think everyone started having doubts about elections with Florida.
The hanging Chad situation, the Supreme Court.
Yeah, but even if they threw, like, in some investigation that took place 10 years, it would have expanded Bush's lead by another 300 votes. So it didn't really matter anyway. Even Democrats said that Bush stole the election in Ohio in 2004. But I would, because judging by the numbers, I would say that this election is Trump's to lose. By every metric, he should win decisively. If we take 2020 as our example, the polls severely overestimated Biden. You take a look at Georgia, he was supposedly some of the polls had him by 7. He only ended up winning by 0.3. Pennsylvania, he was ahead by 11 points. He only ended up winning by 1. Wisconsin, Michigan, same deal. But with these polls, the reason I'm skeptical about the polls that have Trump ahead is because of 2022. Because the polls were so wrong in 2020. But the 2022 polls were fairly accurate in the sense that Republicans did win the popular vote with it was 54%, I think, or something like that in the House, but they barely had a majority. They got the numbers, but it didn't amount to anything. So I would just say this: Trump should win this election. Can he lose? Absolutely. The way I describe this is that Trump's targets are. He has a big target, but it's constantly moving. Kamala has a small target, but it's still. So so Trump should win. Because I would say that if Trump wins, I would say the bellwether to know who wins on election night would be North Carolina. And that's the one state I'm actually a little nervous about as a Republican because of the hurricane. Democrats have been doing pretty well in North Carolina. They've been increasing. Obama won it in 2012. Trump won it in 2016, and 2020.
It's a very swingy state.
It is very swingy. And it was Republicans were supposed to win by something like 6 points in the 2022 Senate race, and we only end up winning it by 1.6 points. So that's one of the things that makes me nervous. Is 2022 kind of threw everything out the window for me. I of the swing states currently, I only have Kamala winning Arizona right now, just because Maricopa officials are incompetent. But she can absolutely sweep the Sun Belt, and then Trump can still win the Rust Belt and still lose.
Yeah, I looked at a poll and some statistics saying that, well, again, this was a couple weeks ago, so I'm sure it's changed and it's shifted, but it was showing that Harris has multiple paths to victory, but the key is those swing states, so your Wisconsins, your Michigans, your Pennsylvanias, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia.
Yeah, shout out to Scott Pressler, by the way, who has been registered, I think something I don't know how many thousand voters, but he's been focusing on the Amish community. And then remember, Biden only won Pennsylvania by 80,000 votes, and the Amish population, I think, in Pennsylvania was like something like 130,000. So that's one of the things that makes the difference. Arab vote, like I don't remember how much Biden won Michigan by. I don't remember. I think it was like, what was it, 90,000 votes, something like that.
Yeah, it was pretty thin.
Yeah, if you got the Arab vote. Yeah, because Kamala is doing poorly with every single demographic, to the point where if she does win, everything about her campaign needs to be studied, because there's no way she should win. Can she win? Absolutely, she can absolutely win. But should she, as things stand right now with the numbers? Absolutely not.
Okay, I would say it's kind of the reverse.
Really?
Can Trump win? Absolutely. Should he win? No.
Oh, I'm talking about in a practicality. So like not in a moral, like I don't know if you're saying it like in a moral sense. Like should he win?
Well,
like,
I'm also meaning like politically speaking and statistically. Really? I mean, I know it's going to keep. It's going to. Ultimately, polls don't really matter. It's what happens after November 5th.
Because right now the way numbers, I agree with the polls, but it's the early voting returns, and Republicans are doing pretty well in Pennsylvania and North Carolina and Wisconsin. With Arizona, I think is Democrat returns are doing pretty good right now. I don't know about Nevada and Michigan though. Georgia, I know a lot of high turnout in Atlanta, the Atlanta Fulton County area, but because Republicans, like, they were always hostile to early voting. Now they're actually doing it. And that's the decisive thing. Because, like, you got all these early Republican voters, and you got all the Republicans that vote on Election Day. That's going to be the decisive thing. I think Trump needs to win. Someone told me that Trump needs to win the Election Day vote in Pennsylvania by 11% in order to win.
I got one more question I'm going to ask you, and then we're going to have to make this a part 2 with the rest of the game.
Okay, yeah.
So I guess my last question to you is, I had it right on the tip of my tongue. Fuck. Okay, well let me just freestyle this here. So, what is going to happen if Donald Trump, and what do you think is going to happen should Donald Trump lose the election?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
I personally think it's going to be really fucking bad. But can you explain why you think it's not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be?
The reason I don't think it's going to be as bad is because we just have to look at the reaction when Trump won in 2016, and then when Trump lost in 2020. When Trump won and on his inauguration, Washington D.C., like, they had to board up everything, like the whole city was destroyed. But when this applied to multiple cities as well. When Trump lost, the right only did one thing one day at one place, and it was against the government. It was on January 6th at the Capitol, and that was like the only extent to a right wing riot. That's the closest thing. But like with the Democrats, it's like you even look at the summer of love and the 2020 riots. Like every day it was a riot, and then Republicans do it once, and then basically the new 9/11.
So, and I'll speak on that a little bit. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I agreed with any of the violence that took place during that time, because obviously I don't. I don't believe that two wrongs make a right. But as somebody who is a part of those communities that were protesting, and some of which did absolutely turn violent and I disagree with, there was a lot of anger and hatred, especially, as we all know, surrounding the death of George Floyd. And here's the thing about the biggest reason I'm scared to have Donald Trump in office is because I don't see him as a uniter of people. I see him to be a very divisive, spiteful, petty man. And he has gone on record flat out saying that, hey, everybody that investigated me, every rhino in the Republican Party, every Republican in name only, I'm going to investigate you. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to do what I can to make your life fucking miserable because you launched all these fake, bullshit, rigged investigations into me. And because he felt the government was being weaponized against him, when I feel like you were just being held accountable as a president should be, as somebody, the most powerful man in office. You don't get to hide behind secrecy and hide and just kind of, maybe back when you were a celebrity, sure, you could sweep away kind of the crazier shit you did. But dude, you're a public figure now, which means you are going to be under scrutiny, same as Obama was, same as Bill was, and the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, same as Jimmy Carter was, same as Nixon was back in the 70s. Like, when you're a president, you are held to a higher standard. And the danger I feel about Donald Trump is that I feel like he wants to turn the presidency into an authoritarian dictatorship. I feel like he genuinely doesn't think that I feel like he genuinely believes that he's above the law. And if you dare challenge him or disagree, or even just disagree with him, then, bad things might happen to you. Now, I know he said he's going to sue all these outlets for spreading fake news and being so mean and rude to him. He's gone after many people within the Republican Party for the sin of just not agreeing with him. So
yeah, Bob Good was probably the one that really pissed me off.
But yeah, so if he gets back into office, what makes you so sure that, and remember, Rhian, considering he has already been president before, he knows what not to do now. So if he gets a second term in office, he's not going to surround himself.
I disagree with that assessment wholeheartedly. I still don't think he knows what he did wrong. I think he's got a lot of people who suck up to him way too much, and I think it's really obvious. People like Laura Loomer and Carrie Lake. Like he hates Carrie Lake because like she's about to lose her Senate race, and it's like because like she's like hanging out in Mar-a-Lago more than she's campaigning. But he's endorsing all these people who like ideologically would more than likely be one of those people who sabotage him later on. And as for like investigating his political opponents, I would be ecstatic with any investigation of Congress. I think every single member of Congress should be investigated. What else? The second part of the question? Sorry, I lost track of that.
I was just saying how what I foresee. You said that you don't think he's.
No.
No, Rhian, I disagree. I think that his first time as president was more or less a trial run because there were a lot more guardrails there. And now that people like Mike Pence are fucking out of the picture, and as you said, he's surrounded himself with a bunch of spineless kiss asses and yes men, there's not going to be anything there to stop him from acting on the more radical things he wants to do.
I disagree because you had people like Mark Esper, who was like his last Secretary of Defense before he fired him before his inauguration. Esper lied to him about the number of troops stationed in Syria. So I don't really have a problem with those guardrails being removed because I'm a big fan of anti-interventionism. I would love because all of these established figures to be removed. That's why I'm a big fan of Kennedy because he was supposed to be. He's going to be. He wants to investigate like all this JFK stuff, the RFK assassination, JFK assassination stuff. That was like the big thing. So really the big thing, because he has Kennedy on his team, Kennedy is the guardrail. Kennedy is the guardrail. Tulsi Gabbard is the guardrail.
Kennedy?
Yeah, absolutely. Kennedy.
That fucking dude?
Yeah, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk. I think they are the garbage. Like I know people don't like Elon Musk, but they don't give a good reason why.
I can give you a couple
why
good
is Elon Musk bad?
Well, for starters, you know how a lot of people, especially conservatives, have kind of rallied around Elon Musk in, recent years as being this free speech patriot, which is a main reason why he says he bought Twitter. Mm-hmm. I think that's complete bullshit. Elon Musk doesn't actually believe in free speech. What you have is Elon Musk believes in free speech so long as it is not contradictory to what he believes in.
I disagree because he gets community noted by his own site.
But the man has actively suspended people's accounts, such as journalists and whatnot, Kremlin shit. He suspended their accounts because they publish stories that show him in a negative light or whatnot. That's one reason.
I don't know about those. I don't know about the Kremlin examples.
Well,
are you talking about the Lauren Chen thing?
I was just using Kremlin as kind of like a silencing dissonance analogy or whatnot.
Because there was a big issue with Brazil, and he was fighting Alexandra Moraes, the Chief Justice of Brazil, over that. I'm not sure. I don't know what agreement they came to. I know Brazil backed off on the VPN ban.
Well, let me ask you this, okay? Before I go into more detail about why Elon Musk should stay as far away from the federal government, why do you think he should have a role?
Because he's a cost cutter. I don't know if you recently saw that rocket that just landed in the chopsticks, which was really cool. But he knows how to save money, and he's not going to be put in front in some kind of position where he's legislating stuff. They're monitoring government waste, and that's the one thing. We're wasting billions of dollars, and I want to know where that money's going.
But why Elon Musk of all people? Can't we put an actual somebody with a background in finance or economy in charge of that?
Well, first of all, he's also not a natural born citizen, so I don't think he can actually even be in the cabinet. But I want someone like him who understands government waste, and that is the same thing with Tulsi Gabbard with foreign policy, RFK Jr. with health and health and intelligence.
Health and intelligence and Robert F. Kennedy do not strike me as words that belong in the same sentence.
When I say intelligence, I mean the intelligence agencies.
Well, that's even worse.
Oh, I disagree because I believe that the government is not transparent about, especially the CIA and FBI, especially about his own family's assassinations.
I agree.
So I think the worst nightmare the FBI director could have is Kennedy being involved in the FBI.
I agree, but I got to be honest. Robert F. Kennedy is a nutcase.
They are my libertarian guardrails.
Okay,
that's how. Vivek Ramaswamy is another one. Because he, especially with
Vivek,
you got Doug Burgum. Doug Burgum is very, very smart man
and very wealthy. I know Trump initially wanted him to be his running mate, but he let his sons talk him into J.D. Vance.
I'm pretty sure J.D. Vance, Donald Trump Jr.'s best friend. So
but
I think it's kind of funny.
If I can speak on that for a second, I know you're excited about J.D. Vance.
I would like to disclose that Vance was also not my first choice for vice president, but I do like Vance. I will miss him in the Senate if he wins.
I was going to say, I remember what I wanted to ask you earlier. I'm just going to ask it now. Fuck it. If we go over time, we go over time. Women are going to be a very, very important demographic in this election. That's just hands down. Women are going to determine this election. Don't you think it would have been, because here's what, not that I would have voted for Trump still, but I think it would have given Kamala Harris and Tim Walz a hell of a more run for their money if you had Donald Trump not Donald Trump. If you had J.D. Vance at the top of the ticket, and not even maybe, Nikki Haley needed to be on that ticket. I honestly don't think J.D. Vance would be performing as well as he was now. Because say Trump did get assassinated, I don't think Vance would have beaten Kamala. Not in this. I think he would have wiped the floor in the debate with her. I don't think that would have translated to an election win though. Well, let me rephrase that. Donald Trump and Nikki Haley.
If Nikki Haley had won the nomination, this wouldn't have been a contest. She would have won with 400 electoral votes. But I hate Nikki Haley. I think she's a dangerous neocon.
Really? Because I gotta be honest, she strikes me as one of the more normal Republicans.
She would have been a good presidential candidate in like 1988. Like same thing, like Pence, Haley, and those two would have been great candidates in 2000 or 1988, but they would be terrible candidates. Because Ramaswamy wiped the floor with her when it came to deal with Ukraine. Like, can you name the 4 regions that you want to send troops to Ukraine? She couldn't do it. She wants to put troops in Ukraine, but she couldn't even know where it was. So that's I just find that incredibly dangerous. If she was the nominee, I may have considered voting for Biden.
Really? I not that I would still vote for Republican, but I think it would have been a much tighter race, and I could actually foresee Trump winning the election with Nikki Haley there.
If he had picked, unfortunately Haley and
he could have picked her as her running mate.
Yeah, he could have, but that would have also, I think, that would have pissed off a lot of ultra conservatives as well, which is part of it, like his MAGA base. She really burned that bridge, and I don't think Trump, knowing how you said Trump is really petty, is ever going to forget that. But she is campaigning for him, I think, in Arizona. I think he would be stupid not to put her in New Hampshire since she's pretty popular there. Mm-hmm. But if. My choice for his running mate would have been was probably Marco Rubio. Rubio is
little Marco.
Yeah, mainly to appeal to increase his appeal with Hispanics. Because he's the son of Cuban refugees. Rubio is also a neocon, mostly just for South America and Cuba, but. I would have also really liked him if he had picked Youngkin. The problem I had with JD Vance initially was that because Vance is so is very conservative, he doesn't really appeal to anyone. Youngkin, at least someone he appeals to moderates, because Youngkin won in a blue state, and that it could help translate. It could also help him in Virginia as well. Mm-hmm. But he's only been governor for 3 years, and we'll miss him. Burgum, he's just boring. Only thing people remember him for is that he's rich and he's got thick eyebrows. He even gave me a $20 gift. I donated $1 and I got a $20 gift card out of it.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
yeah, he did that. I should have done that with a lot more. I should have gotten my parents' emails and I just used my credit card for it. So if you donated to Doug Burgum, $1 to Doug Burgum, it was to get him to the debate. He would give you a $20 gift card.
Very interesting.
Yeah, you missed your chance though. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess we did. But all right, folks, I think, Rhian, we're going to wrap this up now. We are at 1 hour and 17 minutes as of the time of this.
Are you sure you recorded?
Oh yeah, he's not going to let me live that shit down. But yeah, I was a goofy, but no, this will be
if you say in the group chat
oops, I forgot to hit the recording button.
I'm coming to your apartment. I'm going to find you.
He's gonna come to my apartment with a "Make America Great Again" flag.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be. We're gonna say it's a MAGA country too.
That's one way to really piss me off. But okay, but all right. But I guess before we go, Rhian, do you have any final words you would like to say to the audience before we?
I'd just like to plug our club. Called ISU Republicans. We meet every Thursday at 7 p.m. at the State Farm building. Unfortunately, our president and vice president, who are on the previous lost recording, could not be here. Shout out to Ross Vansel and Braden Gonzalez. As I said, we love having new people here. We love talking about politics. We love discussing things. We're currently helping candidates for election time. But yeah, if you we're trying to, we would hope if you have any questions about Republican candidates or Republican politics, looking how to vote. Early voting is available at Eastland Mall. I know it's available. Is it the Bone Center?
Yes, at the Bone
Center.
Yep.
Yeah, it's at the Bone Center now. But yeah, we thank Robbie for having college Republicans on and having myself on twice. yeah, that like I said, we're college Republicans, and we're hoping to make America great again in 13 days.
Yeah, I'll allow that.
Okay.
Well, there you have it, folks. Yes, that is Mr. Rhian there from College Republicans. I will have the rest of the gang to discuss. We might actually do a election day. Well, you're actually going to be busy.
I'm going to be on WZND. Well, I guess I'm not sure if that's official. I know Ross just said that. Oh, do you want to do this? And I said yeah, and I said okay. I let them know. So.
I interned for WZND actually, so we might cross paths.
Is it TV
actually.
or radio?
That's radio.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah, TV10 is the actual TV station.
Yeah, so yeah, it's really exciting because like that's like all I wanted to really do in my career is like doing the election analysis, and well, first it's radio, then it goes to TV. Because like I'm doing a round table on Fox or CNN, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I like to hit the buttons on the state maps. So
I'm sure you do. All those pretty buttons. Want to turn as many of them red as you can.
Absolutely.
I'm sure. All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Robbie Shorter's The Thing About. Once again, if you're not registered to vote, please get registered to vote. If you are registered to vote, early voting has already started, so find your nearest polling location. Or if you'd rather hold off until the big event, then Tuesday, November 5th is Election Day, so vote, vote, vote. Anyway, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. I will catch you in the next one. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye. Say bye, Rhian.
Goodbye. Thank you again.
Bye-bye.